The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of planet Earth, now filled with smoke and fire and choking one of the world's most diverse ecosystems.
The fires raging in the Amazon rainforest. Scientists warn at a record pace, and this could be dire, they say.
3 weeks of raging fires setting off alarm bells around the world.
With the Amazon fires posing a devastating threat to the region and the world.
Tonight, the Amazon rainforest, often called the planet's lungs, is struggling to breathe. Record fires causing massive devastation. Nearly 73,000 detected by researchers so far this year, an 83% increase from 2018. The fires visible even from space. Those white patches, not clouds, but smoke.
A cold weather system helped by changing winds, pushing smoke into cities more than 1,000 miles away.
Fires engulfing large swaths of the Amazon rainforest. The smoke is traveling far and wide. It darkened the skies over Sao Paulo, which is more than 2,000 kilometers south of the burn area. The scope of the fires is massive.
The fires in the Amazon rainforest so huge they're even visible from space. Strong winds pushing the smoke hundreds of miles, plunging the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo into darkness.
Images emerged on Monday of Sao Paulo in the afternoon, blackened by smoke. One Twitter user likened the images to Batman's grim-looking metropolis, Gotham City.
It's safe to say that if we lose the Amazon, we face ecological collapse.
One of the world's most important natural treasures in flames. Over 9,500 fires have broken out since last week, threatening the most biologically diverse place on Earth and the long-term health of our planet. An area about half the size of the US, these forests produce 20% of the world's oxygen.
The smoke has covered most of the northern half of Brazil, which is larger than the whole of Europe.
Now, it's thought an area about the size of a soccer pitch is lost every minute of every day to deforestation in the Amazon.
Fires in the Amazon are a natural occurrence, often started by lightning strikes. But that doesn't explain the sudden increase in fires this year, which environmentalists say has been exacerbated by cattle ranchers and soy farmers clearing forest at an increased pace.
This year is worse than ever because Brazil's new president has allowed deforestation to accelerate.
When these fires finally do go away, environmentalists say that damage will have been done.
Here it is really, much of it is permanently wasted, in a sense that it takes ages to regrow a forest and it can never be regrown in the original way.
The Amazon is the planet's biggest tropical forest, nicknamed the lungs of the Earth.
But these fires are a reminder that the Amazon is losing trees at an unsustainable rate.
A vital natural wonder going up in smoke.
On to other news now. A large wildfire has broken out in Turkey's Marmara Islands. The blaze has been active since Monday and has so far destroyed at least 5 houses in the vicinity. As you can see on your screens, the fire was huge and threw up big clouds of smoke into the air. The fire is believed to have started from Bagazda forest, but the cause remains unknown.
The Russian government is preparing to mobilize the military. President Vladimir Putin took the decision to call in the army on Wednesday as fires spread across 3 million hectares of Siberia.
We begin this program in Russia, where firefighters, backed by the country's air force, are struggling to contain vast wildfires in Siberia.
And how unusual is it for this to be happening in Siberia, of all places?
Right, so fires in Siberia are fairly normal, but this is an unprecedented fire in terms of its size.
It may happen every year, but the scale and intensity of these fires has never been seen before, and scientists say they are burning much farther north than normal. And it's not only Russia, this is Alaska, where firefighters have been struggling to contain the spread.
The fires are engulfing more than 3.1 million hectares of land, an area roughly the size of Belgium. Environmentalists are calling it an ecological catastrophe.
Thick columns of smoke that can be seen from space have been drifting across remote regions of Siberia for weeks, pouring millions of tons of extra carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
In Alaska, 400 wildfires so far this year, with new ones igniting every day. Why? Well, one of the reasons is temperatures. The average June temperature in parts of Siberia, where the worst of the wildfires are ranging, was almost 10 degrees Celsius higher in June than the 1981 to 2000 long-term average.
And plus, there's the trees. Huge areas of trees are simply dying or simply burning down. The taiga is one of the green lungs of the world, and scientists say that these trees could take around 100 years to grow back. So it's understandable that Greenpeace is calling this an ecological catastrophe.
Wildfire season appears to be off to a slow start, and that's a welcome change after the two most deadly and destructive wildfire seasons on record.
Now, a plaque has been unveiled in Iceland to remember the first of its 400 glaciers. Ökukul Glacier used to cover 15 square kilometers of mountainside. Now it is barely 1 square kilometer and less than 15 meters deep.
While this is the first glacier to totally vanish in Iceland, experts say all of the country's ice masses will have melted away forever in the next 200 years. That includes Europe's largest glacier, the Vatnajökull. It's all bad news for Iceland, whose flag is inspired by all three of its key elements: water, fire, and ice.
Yes, there have been other small glaciers to disappear around the planet over the last 20, 30 years, but this is the first one of this size, and that's what makes it significant, because this is a well-known glacier in Iceland. It's storied in children's songs and things like that, so everybody knows about it, so the fact that it's now gone is significant, and it may be a bellwether that more glaciers of prominent size will also be disappearing in the decades ahead, guys. Back to you.
Such a telling sign. Thanks so much, Matt.
Dramatic video of a dying glacier captured on tape. Kayakers Josh Bastier and Andrew Hooper ventured out on what they called a peaceful glacier exploration at Alaska's Spencer Glacier. They noticed a glacial bridge beginning to collapse.
Man, when that whole thing goes, oh, here we go.
As the bridge crumbled, they found themselves in danger, with an 8-foot wave headed directly towards them.
Holy shit!
Riding the wave from the glacier to safety, they retreated, later reflecting on the dramatic events.
Very, very blessed to have seen it and survived it.
What Andrew and Josh witnessed is a new normal. Glaciers cleaving is a normal occurrence. They're becoming even more common. The Spencer is said to recede 100 feet a year. A new reality witnessed in real time.
An island paradise in flames. Fires on the island of Evia started Tuesday at about 3 a.m. and were spread by strong winds through dry vegetation, according to local media.
The fire tore through the forest, destroying everything. Residents on Evia Island stunned and helpless as they watched emergency services struggle to contain the blaze.
As the wildfires rage, all local residents can do is watch as the flames creep closer to their homes.
56 fires broke out across the country within 2 days. A scene many say is all too familiar.
What can I say? The whole village is on fire. All our worldly possessions are going up in smoke. It's horrible.
One of the biggest deployments of firefighters in recent Spanish history is underway. Shock and disbelief in Gran Canaria. These villagers were forced out of their homes as large wildfires burn out of control across the Spanish island. They started spreading across mountainous areas on Saturday as high temperatures, strong winds and low humidity fuel the flames. This headline reads, "The Unstoppable Catastrophe." Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands is popular with tourists. Millions visit every year to enjoy its mountains and beaches, and while the Spanish government has assured them the wildfires are only confined to higher grounds, environmentalists are concerned that Spain could lose some of its most important nature reserves.
Kind of hazy over Seattle today, but sunny. Fires burning in eastern and central Washington are to blame, but a massive fire all the way over in Russia is adding to our hazy skies.
I'm not going to be able to stay here long because this fire is spreading, but
conservationist Paul Rosalie was at this fire on the Brazil-Peru border last month.
There are literally millions of animals in this forest that cannot escape right now.
How many animals were you able to rescue?
None. They were all burned.
His video and the hashtag Pray for Amazonia shared on social media today, but more needs to be done.
This should be the wake-up call that pulls us back from the edge.
In the northern hemisphere, parts of Siberia and Alaska are burning too, just weeks after a blistering July, the hottest month on record.
This is just one of several thousand fires currently consuming swaths of the Brazilian Amazon, and the world is watching.
The World Wildlife Fund says that almost 20% of the Amazon forest has disappeared in the last half-century, and this is only accelerating.
Now, the raging fires covered Sao Paulo, which is home to more than 12 million people, under a blanket of smoke so thick it blocked out the sun. We see video here of how Brazil's biggest city was plunged into darkness in the middle of the day. And there were also reports of black rain in Sao Paulo. A Twitter user posted a photo here of what she says is a glass of rainwater.
The hashtag Pray for Amazonas has been trending on Twitter, and other world leaders have reacted as well. Our house is burning, literally.
Calling the wildfires, quote, an international crisis.
All the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree.
So what causes pole shifts? Our solar system is larger than you know. It is a binary star system. The Sun's twin, Nemesis, is a dark unlit star, which pulls the orbits of the outer planets into the ellipses you see today. Our solar system also contains a 10th planet, Planet X, which orbits both stars, our Sun, Sol, and its twin, Nemesis, approximately every 3,657 years. Planet X passes our Sun and crosses the Earth's orbit. The magnetic fields of our planet Earth clash with Planet X, causing great upheaval on Earth as it adjusts with the pole shift.
This particular global nightmare would truly come from the heavens.
And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
Does our sun have an evil twin? A star named Nemesis orbiting the distant reaches of our solar system? And every 26 million years, does it fling comets from the Oort cloud toward Earth?
Sometimes they get tossed out, other times they orbit harmlessly until they evaporate and go away.
Scientist Richard Muller not only theorizes that this periodic mayhem is caused by a deadly companion star to the Sun, he believes he knows precisely what kind of star it is: a red dwarf, an evil twin to the Sun named Nemesis. Some scientists suspect that Nemesis is a dark, still undiscovered star orbiting our Sun. And every 26 million years, it triggers a disaster.
We know that the solar system is surrounded by this enormous cloud of comets, and so these successive passages of the Sun's companion would send comets into the inner solar system. Some of them would hit Earth.
What follows is death on a colossal scale. It is now widely accepted that a rock from space caused the end of the age of dinosaurs 65 million years ago.
So we now are pretty convinced that the reason that a huge fraction of life on the Earth went extinct 65 million years ago was because a comet slammed into the Earth.
The resulting impacts have been the source of many major extinction events in Earth's history. By definition, a red dwarf barely glows at all.
It would be the closest star to our Sun, and we wouldn't even know it. Now, why is that? The way we discover nearby stars is either because they're very bright, and a red dwarf star is not very bright, or because the Sun is moving past it. This star is moving with us. Yes, it's orbiting us, but that orbit is very slow, 26 million years. So it would be moving with us. It would just be at a fixed position in the sky and wouldn't move.
In other words, when viewed from Earth, most nearby objects are shifting over time. But Nemesis is sitting still. When binary stars are of different sizes, the smaller star, in this case Nemesis, swings in a wide orbit around its larger companion, in this case the Sun, which barely seems to orbit at all. Why does the smaller one move in a much wider circle? The answer has to do with a concept called the center of mass.
Wow, are you guys balanced?
But unlike these gymnasts, Nemesis and the Sun are not equal. Astronomer Richard Muller estimates that the Sun has 10 times more mass than its undiscovered twin. And when one binary star is larger than its sibling, the center of mass between them shifts closer to the larger star. Since Tammy weighs about 4 times as much as the metal weights, she must move far closer to the center of mass to maintain balance. If Tammy and the weights represented binary stars, the weights would orbit far out in the distance, while Tammy would barely move. In fact, both would be orbiting each other.
It's kind of a misconception to think that the more massive star doesn't move and the less massive star just goes around it. In fact, they're still both orbiting the common center of mass.
Although calculations indicate that Nemesis isn't due back for millions of years, something appears to be shaking up the comets in the Oort cloud right now. Could Nemesis already be upon us?
If the Sun was all by itself and there was no Nemesis, then the comets in the Oort cloud would all have very predictable and regular orbits. They would be very regular in their arrival times and departure times.
Without gravitational interference from anything other than the Sun, Oort cloud comets, like juggled objects, could spread out evenly across the sky. However, that's not what some scientists report.
When we look out into the sky and look at where the comets are coming from, their directions tend to concentrate in a certain region of the sky. And one possible explanation for that is that skew is being directed by the gravitational perturbations from an unseen object that is out there.
Based on these observations, scientists infer that a huge object is disturbing the orbit.
There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
Comet Lovejoy plunges into the sun and survives.
I looked up at the sky and saw this little orange ball above the redwood trees. All of a sudden, these lights came down from that little orange ball. Couldn't tell you what it was.
Scientists are still trying to figure that out too. The California Academy of Sciences says it's possible it was a meteor.
It's rather unusual in that this one appears to have a very broad tail following behind it.
It was spotted in 3 states, Nevada, California, and Oregon.
And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
Well, a mysterious fireball lit up the Melbourne sky late last night, sparking an awful lot of social media discussion. Here it is right here. Well, joining us now is today Melbourne reporter Justine McKenzie.
It has been confirmed this morning that it was a meteor.
A giant asteroid flying towards Earth. Detected by a Russian robotic telescope, it's one of the largest and most dangerous space rocks approaching our planet's orbit.
This new asteroid is an entirely different story. It's 20 times bigger, the size of a village, weighing millions of times more. It for now called 2014 UR116. But the danger from asteroids is very real, and astronomers are increasingly keeping an eye out and thinking about what to do if they confirm a collision course.
For last night, a meteor skipped along the Earth's atmosphere, lighting up the sky from New Jersey to Ohio. More than 190 reports have poured into the American Meteor Society.
We are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change, and the last generation that can do something about it. We are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change, and the last generation that can do something about it.
Locals are calling it the Lake of Death as they scoop up an estimated 156 tons of dead freshwater popoche chub. Around 40 million of them popped to the surface last week, not to eat or to jump, but as dead fish.
Boat after boat pulls into shore, all with the same sad, stinking cargo.
At least 10 people have died and 30 others are still missing after heavy rainfall triggered landslides in southwest China. More than 300 millimeters of rainfall in less than 24 hours has caused flash floods and landslides in multiple towns.
The astonishingly heavy rainfall in the region, causing almost 5,000 houses to collapse, 1.9 million people who have been affected.
A warning went out today in Hawaii. Flowing lava from the Kilauea volcano is now less than a mile from a community on the Big Island. A new vent opened up recently, sending lava toward the homes.
The Kilauea spills lava in all directions, but instead of traveling down the slope and into the ocean in the past, the lava is moving to the east towards communities.
Lava continues to creep closer to homes.
Lava continues to emerge from Iceland's Bardabung volcano. Scientists are concerned that if the eruption spreads to an ice cap 4 kilometers away, the subsequent explosion could generate ash clouds.
Hundreds of people have died and thousands more left homeless in severe flooding during monsoon rains in India and Pakistan. Large areas of Srinagar, the largest city in Indian-controlled Kashmir, are still submerged. Some places, the water submerged entire homes.
One of the wettest days on record. More than 240 millimeters of rain happened in the last 24 hours. Your monthly average is about 98 millimeters for the entire month of September. So you had almost 1.5 times what you would normally get the entire month in just a matter of hours.
Well, another volcano in Iceland, this one with an unusual problem. The Holoren volcano is spewing something other than lava. It's spewing toxic gas. It's life-threatening near the eruption. And the smell, much like rotting food, is being detected as far away as Finland.
Torrential rain in the Balkans has caused fresh flooding. Here in Croatia, around 2,000 people needed to be evacuated. Surging river waters rose at the rate of 10 centimeters an hour. Slovenia was also hit in eastern and south-central regions.
Hurricane Odile brought fierce winds and rain as it battered Mexico's northwest coast Monday, proving challenging for those who ventured outside. Trees were uprooted in La Paz. Power lines came crashing down. It's deemed one of the worst storms to hit the luxury retreat of Los Cabos. 3 people have been killed after heavy tropical rains caused widespread flooding in the Philippines. Tens of thousands of people in the capital Manila have been displaced. The Italian city of Florence has been hit by a violent hailstorm which destroyed terrace bars in a central square and injured 5 people when a primary school collapsed in an outlying village.
Look at this, carrying cars away during a powerful storm hitting the coastal town of Jurison on the Black Sea.
Cars, buses, even semi-trucks, no match for the massive waves as the storm surge flooded the highway.
Wow.
This is tsunami style.
Yeah. That is insane.
The moment a sunny Saturday morning on Mount Ontake suddenly turned deadly. The huge cloud of ash spewing from the mountain caught on camera by a Japanese documentary. It was terrifying, this man says. The rock was falling like hailstones.
And as frightening as this sign is, the biblical march toward apocalypse is about to get even worse. It's a disaster that conjures up images of hell itself.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power.